Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at the pirates. They're not just any ordinary pirates, they're plunder patrols. Probably one of the best rogue strategies in my opinion. They just have the ability to generate advantage while simultaneously disrupting your opponent's plays. Although they do kind of rely on your opponent's cards. With the new wave of support they got in Eternity Code with cards like Ship Shape Shipping and Emblem of the Plunder Patrol, you do not have to rely on your opponent. You can just make your plays on your own turn. So our opponent will be going first. They're gonna Oh wait, I'm going first, never mind. We're gonna start off with an Undyne. The reason I run Undyne is it's basically a one card Blackbeard. It can dump golden hair, and it dumps golden hair as cost, so even if it does get ashed, you can still just discard whatever you have in your hand. So we're going to use golden hair, discard the Whitebeard, summon it. Whitebeard will trigger summoning a Bluebeard from our deck. Next we will synchro into a Brawn, and then we'll use the effect of our beard thing to draw a card. Next we can go ahead and use the hand effect of golden hair, summon it. And then we can go ahead and use the effect of Redbeard, equip it, and then we will go into a Blackbeard, and we do kind of just set the Caught by Grave and pass. Now in that situation you could have also used your Plunder Patrol Ship Shape Shipping if you really wanted to get something like Liss on the field, but then we won't really have any discard cards for the list, and that's really why the it's still in our hand. It just works as a discard for Brawn. On top of that, we also get an extra draw off Blackbeard, which just works super great. So he's gonna draw. He has Dark Lord Niston. I believe all the new Dark Lords have the effect where they can copy the effects of their spell or traps from the graveyard, which is super cool in my opinion. And Dark Lord Niston, it like discards 2, summons itself, which it's a pretty hefty cost. But it can also get your Dark Lord spells and traps in the graveyard, so it can copy its abilities later. On top of that's on a quick effect, so which is, I believe they have stuff like a Trident and stuff. So we're just going to be chaining Blackbeard to the activation. He has a Dark Monster in his graveyard, so we can go ahead and get a Monarch on the field, and we get to draw one. Next, he's going to be summoning that. We're going to chain the Monarch, and he will chain the Nastin to banish. I believe he copies the effect of this thing in his graveyard. It like destroys one card on the field. I mean, did you really want to I mean, he did. It was pretty smart of him to specifically pop the Brawn, mainly because the Monarch wouldn't really pose a passive threat, as I've already used its effect. So you got to search for a Shipyard, which is super great. Next, we get the Pot of Desires, draw 2. He draws into another Pot of Desires. Don't you just love getting Pot of Desires into Pot of Desires? It's incredible. So he just normal summons that Uko back, and yeah, he sends the I believe that's the Monster Reborn for the deck. So now it is my turn again. We top deck Salvage, which is brilliant. Salvage is a +1. It's a free +1 in this deck. I'm pretty sure we do not have any main deck monsters with more than 1500 attack. So we're gonna activate Shipyard. We're gonna activate Salvage, getting the Whitebeard and the Redbeard in our hand. We can activate Ship Shape Shipping, which will go into a list. If we really wanted to, we could use the Shipyard first, discard the Whitebeard, get something else on the field, something like a Bluebeard. Then we could have, and then we get to like search something. I think that would have been better, to be honest. First using Shipyard's search effect, and then getting your Ship Shape Shipping. But that was probably just my problem. So we get that thing on the field. So I believe I activated Liss's effect as special summon. He changed the Sanctified Dark Lord, which sends something to the grave in order to negate my monster's effects. On top of that, he gains 3k attack. So we're gonna activate Ship Shape Shipping, equipping Emblem to Liss for some reason. I'm not really sure why I didn't just equip it to Shipwright or not Shipwright. I didn't just equip it to my Bluebeard in order to get the Blackbeard on the field, which would have also given me an extra spell, so that would have just boosted stuff even more. Could have OTK'd Oh no, he had the extra 10k attack. Never mind. I'm going to go into that. We're going to summon stuff. We're going to do more stuff. All of this is really just to get that. It's basically the same as having that Bluebeard in. It's almost the same as having Bluebeard in attack position. I mean, I do get the extra spell, so that equip spell, so that's great. So we're going to poke for a lot of damage, and he is going to be top decking another Superbia, which is not too great for him. He's going to activate Pot of Desires, which will let him draw 2. He's going to activate, he draws 2 Ixchel, which I believe it's probably one of the best Dark Lords. It discards itself and another Dark Lord to draw 2, which is super great, but I just called by the grave that, and he surrenders. I mean, it's not really a hard one. Oh no, it's a Morning Star, never mind. So I thought that was another Ixchel, but I mean, I probably could have played that a lot more optimally if I was really thinking in the moment. But this deck can really go to a lot of places, and sometimes it's just hard to keep track what to do at what times, as there's so many types of game states, as they do rely on your opponent to have certain attributes, but not with emblem or stuff like that. So that was the first replay. I mean, there wasn't really too much he could have done, to be honest. During my next turn, if I drew another Plunder Patrol card, I mean, I would have top decked Call by the Grave, if you see right there. But I guess we'll go to our next replay, which is against Meta, Mech Knight Invoked. So right here, what on earth? I swear this guy was playing Mech Knight Invoked. So he is going first. I don't know why he just chose to go first. Kind of just passes. You could have at least done something with Alistair. Like, you run Mechaba. Does this man not run Secure Guard? This man doesn't run Secure Guard now? This man's a man. Instead he's running the BLS link, because that's obviously more important. Crusader Avramax isn't the... Why do you run Crusader Avramax? Just because... Okay, this Mech Knight Invoke player is actually worse than I thought. He just passes. Pot of Desires. I also play unoptimally here too, so please don't mind this. He just ashes the Desires. I mean, you can't let your opponent just Pot of Greed, you know? So we're going to activate Ship-Shape Shipping. We get the list on the field. We're going to use the Bluebeard and the Redbeard. We get to equip, and we pretty much discard the booty and draw 1. Top decking Terraforming, which is incredible. We're going to activate Shipyard, discard 1, search a Whitebeard, and then we're going to activate List's effect to special summon this Redbeard, and we will go ahead link. Okay, no, we're not immediately linking. For some reason, we are equipping this again. I mean, I think it's kind of for protection. I don't know. I honestly don't know how this works. So, once again, I am playing very unoptimally. I could have just done this. Go into a Blackbeard. Whitebeard would summon something from the deck. This right here. And right here, we would have OTK'd our opponent if we'd actually done this. But my IQ is too low to know that, so that's kind of what we ended on. We're going to use Upstart, draw 1. We drew a Ship-Shape Shipping, which acts as fodder for Brawn, potentially a Moark, and a Liss. So now our opponent's just going to go ahead and draw. He sets the Succession, special summons Blue Sky. We're kind of just going to negate that with Liss, and then we'll also get the Search for a golden hair, because we banished all our copies of Whitebeard. I would have searched Whitebeard, but unfortunately we did banish two copies of him, and we have one in our graveyard. So just please don't pay attention to my unoptimal dueling, but it does work pretty well. You get to disrupt your opponent's plays while simultaneously gaining advantage. He normal summons the Alistair. I can just kind of use Redbeard, and we're gonna be chaining Blackbeard too, in case he has any list 2 to summon Blackbeard in case he has any form of interruption, which he does. Called by the Grave will negate the Redbeard. We get to summon for the Blackbeard, and next he finally gets to resolve Alistair and searches Invocation. Gonna link into Almiraj. We're gonna chain Blackbeard. We're going to equip our Redbeard to a Mort because he has the Alistair in his grave, and we get the draw. We draw an Undying. I'm pretty sure I banished my only copy of Genix controller. No, but once again, we already have stuff like Golden Hair in our hand. We don't have one in our graveyard for some reason. Ignore that, please. I don't know why he goes for a Purgatrio when he knows I can kind of just use Moark. He's gonna chain Almiraj. I mean, Almiraj only stops destruction. It doesn't make your opponent card unaffected. For some reason, he just decides to do that. So he just gets to recycle his Alistair. He has a World Legacy Succession and Alistair in hand. And what on earth is this? Annihilator Archfiend. You can target one card you control and one card your opponent controls. Destroy them, and if you destroy a fiend with this effect, this card gains attack equal to half that monster's effect. This is terrible. Why do you run this? Or like, he surrenders. I mean, I had an extra spell or trap pop during the end phase. I could have just popped World Legacy Succession if I really wanted to. I mean, to be honest, I thought when I dueled him, I thought he would be an actual decent Mech Knight player. He didn't use Alistair. I thought he top decked the Alistair. But those were kind of the duels. We'll go on to the deck profile then. Now this deck, it is pretty difficult to play, to be honest. It does rely on you having information on how your opponent's deck works in a way, and that's really where most of the difficulty comes. So it's not that useful for new players, but it's an incredibly solid deck. It's able to put up tons of disruptions. It can put up like Abyssal, Toad, Moark is a free banish on top of a search. Liss is a monster negate on top of a search. Brawn is a spell pop on top of a search. On top of that, they also have their own little things. Brawn grants everything 500 extra attack, and that's another thing this deck excels in, is getting super duper large beaters on the field. Like you saw in that last replay, I got a very high attack list. I would have won just because of how much attack points this shipyard just gives us. It gives us 500 attack for each Plunder Patrol in our spell or trap, and this deck just pretty much equips stuff to everything. Whitebeard and Redbeard are probably the most notable ones. Plunder Patrol shipping can equip from the deck, so that just gives even more attack. It's pretty insane. So we'll go more in depth into the deck. We have one Genix controller. I was thinking of bumping this up to 2 because I do have trauma from the time I drew both Undying and this Genix controller. Unfortunately, that's what happened. 3 copies of Whitebeard, 3 copies of Redbeard, 3 copies of Bluebeard, and 3 copies of Golden Hair. In my opinion, probably the best ones are Golden Hair and Whitebeard. Golden Hair is pretty much a free Blackbeard, just normal summon a link into Almiraj. If you have an extra if you just have an extra discard, and it's especially useful if you have something like a Whitebeard as a discard, mainly because you just get even more advantage on top of that initial summon. Next we have the 3 copies of Redbeard. Redbeards, you usually just finish your board with a Redbeard, maybe summoning it off something like a Whitebeard. It's mainly just used as the monster you use to summon stuff from your extra deck, kind of like Blackbeard, except it's not used as heavily. You could also just use Whitebeard, but you can't summon Whitebeard using Whitebeard's own effect. So if you're going to be using Whitebeard's effect, I recommend summoning something like Redbeard on your end board. 3 copies of Bluebeard. Bluebeard is it's a free summon. It's kind of like those Blackwing monsters that just summon themselves from your hand. On top of that, its effect is discard 1, draw 1. So if you have something like a shipyard and a Bluebeard in your hand, you can discard the Bluebeard, search Whitebeard, and sorry, I just lost my train of thought there. You shipyard, discard the Bluebeard, and search the Whitebeard, and Bluebeard will discard the Whitebeard, draw 1, And as long as you just have an extra normal summon in your hand, you pretty much just go into Blackbeard from there. And Golden Hair is a free summon in your hand or graveyard. 3 copies of Genix Undyne. It's a 1 card Golden Hair. A normal summon it, send Golden Hair to the graveyard, and sends to the graveyard as cost, so your opponent cannot ash it. On top of that, you also have you just search Genix Controller, and Golden Hair in the graveyard can discard any card, not just Plunder Patrol cards. So you can just discard the Genix Controller, summon it, and just like that, you have the Blackbeard. 3 copies of Desires. I was playing 2 until I just decided to capitalize on the Desires, mainly because this deck does need a lot of cards to get the engine running. So Pot of Desires is super solid in this deck. You don't really run too many one-offs apart from these limited cards and Genix Controller. So it's kind of unfortunate if you draw a Genix Undyne off your Genix Controller. And the best draw of Pot of Desires is 2 more Pot of Desires. 2 copies of Foolish Burial Goods. It just comes in clutch so often. Maybe sometimes sending a Plunder Patrol shipping or something like a shipyard. A cool interaction if you have both shipping and shipyard in your graveyard with a Plunder Patrol on field. You can banish this. You can use a shipping's effect. Equip a copy of Whitebeard to your Plunder Patrol. It doesn't just equip emblem of the Plunder Patrol. It can also equip a Plunder Patrol monster, and this last part, it does come in handy sometimes. So as I was saying, you just have, say you have Golden Hair on field, you equip the Whitebeard, and then you will use the effect of Shipyard in your graveyard, bounce back the Whitebeard, set it, you'll activate it, discard your Whitebeard, search something like a Bluebeard for the extra summon, Whitebeard will summon Bluebeard, and you just go off from there. 1 copy of Upstart, just an extra draw 1, it's a 39 card deck. 1 copy of Terraforming. Your Shipyard is probably one of the most focal points of this deck. It's not completely necessary. It's pretty much just a Rhoda as well. It discards a card, which I think is necessary in this deck, mainly because it's important. All your Plunder Patrols have graveyard effects, and it also gives all your Plunder Patrols 500 extra attack, which is also super duper important, mainly because it's pretty much once you disrupt all of your opponent's plays, you one punch your opponent and they lose. Finally, sorry, I was on Terraforming, wasn't I? 2 copies of Salvage. Salvage just works so great as a recovery tool. Some people like to put this at 3. I like it at 2, mainly because it's just an incredible card altogether. Also, I've seen some builds running cards like Silent Angler, and if I can just get that right here, yep, they like to run Silent Angler, and Silent Angler is a free summon if you control Water Monster, which some people just like for the Blackbeard, and they also run White Stingray, which is also an extra summon. It's kind of like Silent Angler, except you have to discard a water monster, and you don't necessarily have to control a water monster beforehand. I like these, but they are White Stingray and Silent Angler. Silent Angler does require you to control a water monster, so if you just open it on its own and no water monsters, it is an inherent brick. That's why I just like to run Genix Undyne so much more, because it is a 1 card Blackbeard. It does not rely on you having any other forms of cards in your hand. So I was on 3 copies of Called by the Grave. Hand traps are super pesky in this deck. Just interrupt your plays. This deck can go through a couple of hand traps, to be honest, but not too many. We have 3 copies of Emblem of the Plunder Patrol. Emblem just comes in clutch so many times, mainly because it can get you plays on your first turn. If you open something like a Bluebeard on its own, and it's an Emblem of the Plunder Patrol, and mainly this Bluebeard on its own won't really go anywhere. If you don't have Emblem, you just have to link it off, gamble on its graveyard effect, and if you don't hit anything right, you pretty much lose. But Emblem, if you open Emblem plus something like a Bluebeard, you can just get your wheels running, go straight into a Blackbeard, and Blackbeard is an incredible card by itself. 3 copies of Plunder Patrol Shipyard. Shipyard to Shipyard. It's a rota. It gives everything extra attack, so it's very difficult to run over your monsters by attack. It also just encourages you and reminds you that you do have to be careful of your equipped cards. And it does have a graveyard effect too, which I just explained, the combo with ship shape shipping. And also ship shape shipping is just awesome by itself. It summons a Fiend Fusion. Doesn't necessarily have to be a Plunder Patrol, so you can technically splash Plunder Patrol into Fiend Fusion decks. I don't really know, so we just go here. Okay, Arm Sacred Beast Plunder Patrols, I guess. Cubic Plunder Patrols. I believe all the Fright Furs are also Fiends. Yep, every single Fright Fur is a Fiend. Yes, just shipping. People run this at 1. I do not understand the reason to run this at 1. You should always run this at full blast at 3. I know it's kind of situational that if you just draw too many copies of it and you don't end up hitting something like if you don't have any Plunder Patrols in your hand, it does work, and it doesn't work very well. But I just love to run 3. It's an incredibly fun card. I've never had any issues with drawing too many of it, and you do run lots of ways to just get to these cards. Pot of Desires, Upstart. You're technically running just 4 instant rotas. It's ship shape shipping is just incredible, especially as it gets you to your best extra deck card, Liss, and Liss is a monster negate. And finally, we have our 3 copies of Plunder Patrol Booty. It changes the attributes of your opponent monsters, which is super important in this deck, especially if you have something like a Blackbeard on field. You can instantly just change something to a dark monster if you're playing. You should be able to kind of judge what your opponent's up to just off their first card. But it just works so well, this booty. Just on top of you, if you have something like a Blackbeard, you usually end on a Blackbeard pass. No, you don't end on Blackbeard pass. Sometimes you usually end on one of these extra deck monsters plus Blackbeard pass. Sometimes you also end on something like a Redbeard, which just acts as another way to get your extra deck monsters on the field. And just the ability to control your opponent's attributes. On top of that, it is a monster reborn. So if you have something like a Whitebeard or a Redbeard in your graveyard, you can just recover that and get into even more plays. It's pretty insane, Booty. You should always run this at 3. It's a monster reborn, plus it can change your opponent's attributes. For extra deck, we have 2 copies of Liss. 1 copy of Dragite. Dragite is it's pretty easy to make this. You do always have a water monster in your graveyard, so that spell trap negate is always live. 1 copy of White Aura Whale. White Aura Whale is it's a board wipe as soon as you summon it. On top of that, it can make 2 attacks on monsters specifically. So if your opponent has any defense position monsters, they do not stand a chance against this thing. And on top of that, it inflicts piercing damage, which is just an incredible thing. And on top of that, it has a floating effect. If it's destroyed, you can just banish another water and summon it. And this floating effect is not once per turn, so you can just infinitely summon it if you have a way to infinitely destroy it. So you could technically use this in ODK, but White Aura Whale has saved me so many times. It is an incredible card. You should always run this. 2 copies of Brawn. Brawn is Brawn. It's basically a speller trap pop. It works very well against decks that specifically rely on their say field spells. So if you have a deck that their field spell carries them, something like another Plunder Patrol deck, I don't know, technically Solids need Salamangreat Sanctuary, but if we just go ahead, look over here, we have field spells. Most of these are probably just a lot of these are sorry, I just lost my train of thought again. That's my bad. A lot of these are generic. I mean, are you actually gonna run into some BS? Let me just look for a good thing. FAs, okay, FAs are bad. I mean, technically, um, Salman Great Sanctuary is a very important card in Salads, mainly because it does help their thing so much. They only run one copy of Sanctuary, so you can pretty much just blow it up from here. If your opponent's playing Dragon Link, sometimes they need Dragon Ravine. Dragon Ravine isn't the most important thing on Earth, but if they're running something like the FDK, you can just banish their Divine Lance as soon as they activate it. Yeah, Zombie World, yes, Zombie World. In case your opponent just has something like Rivalry of Warlords on you, Zombie World can help you a lot. And Hidden City also. Hidden City does work really well against sub-terrors. So Plunder Patrol Ship Brawn does have lots of great things. It can also just pop your opponent's set back row. So if during your opponent's end phase, if they just like set 5 and they're passing, you can just activate Brawn, just pop one of them. It's super incredible, this card. We have one copy of Bahamut Shark. Bahamut Shark just instantly goes into a Toad, which is super great. One copy of Abyss Dweller. You run water monsters in this deck, so it's pretty easy to get its water gain effect. On top of that, it's an instant lockdown, so which is super great. Two copies of Moark. It's practically a Trident, I'd say. On top of that, you also get a search for a spell or trap, and the search can act as fodder for your other monsters, which rely on you having a Plunder Patrol card in your hand, which is super great. And if you hard summon him, XC summon him, which is very very rare, but some people do, it pretty much just protects all Plunder Patrol cards you control, which is incredible. Finally, we have 3 copies of Blackbeard. Blackbeard is Blackbeard. It's pretty much identical to these two, where you get the summon during your opponent's turn, but it also lets you draw a card, and also lets you select which card you use as an equip card. So if you have an extra card on your field, say something like an extra Undying that you haven't linked off yet, you can always just use Blackbeard, equip that, but I don't really see why you do that, because Plunder Patrol Shipyard just counts Plunder Patrol cards, but it does work super great. If you have an extra card, maybe like a Golden Hair on field, you can equip that, and you get to draw one too, which can potentially act as fodder for your Moark, Brawn, or Liss. Just an incredible card. I just like to run 3 of it, as you do burn out of copies of this very often. And finally, we have one Almirage. Just makes Golden Hair 1 card Blackbeard, which is pretty much our deck's end board. So that was the entire deck. I hope you like it. Do like it, subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.